Yes, sir. Y'all know what time it is. Welcome to another edition of Real Talk for Real Men. Let's get this party started.
Yeah. Oh, second that.
I don't own the rights to this music, as we're supposed to say,
Exactly.
but I'm feeling it. But I'm feeling it. Ballin'. Woohoo, babe. Yes, sir. That's the note right there. Alexa, stop. Welcome, 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 everybody. February 3rd, another edition of Real Talk for Real Men. So hopefully, as usual, everybody is having a great week. We in Hump Day, and so I am pleased to be coming to you, in a great spirit today. So I'm having a really good day, work-wise, health-wise. So hopefully everybody's doing the same. So let me say hello to my co-host first of all, Tasha. How are you doing this evening?
I cannot complain. Today is technically my Friday, so I'm off for the
You low down, no good. You low
so
down, no good. I hear you, baby. Well,
I'm
smoke them
very
if you got
happy.
them. Smoke them if you
Yeah.
got them. There you go. Relax and do what you do. So thank you
Mhm.
for being here, of course. Oh my God, who is gracing the covers of the Real Talk was right here? Oh, come on now. You doing it? You doing it like this to us,
Hi.
Lady D in the house? How you doing, sweetheart?
I'm good. How
I
are you?
love it. I love the look. I love
Thank
the.
you.
So is that a cutout around your neck?
Yes, on my
All
shirt.
right, all right. Now, Steve. Steve is a lucky man. I gotta tip one up for Steve. Go ahead, Steve.
Boy, I tell you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What country you get that outfit from?
It's just a shirt. Oh man, y'all
Bravo.
are crazy.
Well, thank you for gracing us. We appreciate you. You know, we love you here on Real Talk for Real Men. And then we have Jay in the house today. What's going on, brother? What's going on? That's what's up. That's what's up. For the
What
audience
up?
out
What
there,
up?
there you go. How you doing, Jay?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. About yourself? How's everybody?
Doing all right. Uh,
What's up, Tasha? D? Y'all
What's
good?
going on, Jay? Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
we're
good.
good.
Good to see
Good.
everybody. Happy
so
New Year. I don't think I talked to everybody
absolutely.
in 2020. Yeah.
I see we got Derek, we got Carlos in. Welcome. Derek is on camera, so I hope to hear from you, my brother. Thank you for being a part of this. Carlos, thank you for coming back, my brother. I just got a call from Eric. Eric, I can't answer, but go into your
Okay.
messenger and click on that link. But Tasha, post the link for us as well, just
It's
in
posted.
case. Okay.
Uh,
Am I missing it?
It's in YouTube.
yeah,
Okay.
He's trying to find a link now so he can get on his phone.
I
Okay.
posted it in the comments on YouTube, so just copy and paste.
So let's see. And I think I can do it from here. There you go. And for those that are watching it on this platform, I just posted the link as well here. So please click on the link. If you're using Android, it works better if you use Google Chrome. If you have an iPhone, use Safari. That way you'll be able to come on. I'll see you in my green room and I'll bring you on camera. And we're going to have some fun tonight for sure. So we're going to enjoy this conversation. But okay, guys, we're going to get started. I'm sure people will come and join us as we get into the conversation. Hopefully, you've tracked me through the week and you saw what the topic is going to be as I add my sister. So tonight we're going to be talking about some basic rules that can improve relationships. And before we get into it, I don't want anybody to think this is too heavy. As I always say on some of my shows, I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist, or any kind of ologist. I don't even play one on Real Talk. I just am a guy that asks questions. I like holding up the mirror so that we can kind of take a look at, where we are, where we're going. And so that's all this really is. And what I was able to do this week, hopefully you guys have saw, I posted two sets of rules, so I posted one where I said from boys to men. It was some
Mhm.
basic standard rules that initially was handed out for fathers to give to sons, believe it or not. So if you haven't seen those, do yourself a favor. If you have a son, go and make yourself a copy of those rules. It is some fantastic standards for fathers to pass on to sons. But I did it with a twist, as I'm using it for tonight's topic. And I did it where we're going to talk about it as we progress from boys to men, because I think a lot of the principles can be used as we apply towards being better in relationships. And
Mhm.
so, what's good for the goose is certainly good for the gander. I went out and I found some similar rules for women. Again, that was initially would have been for daughters. So, for those of you again that have children, it is some great, great fundamental principles to pass along to daughters. I'm going to leave those up. You're more than welcome to copy those. And those rules are just like a grocery store. When we go in the grocery store, we don't buy everything, and then we just buy what we need. So
Mhm.
same principle applies here. It's not an all-encompassing list. It's not even something that's definitive, but hopefully it has some principles in there that you can appreciate. So as we kind of get into this subject, you know, I always try to say to kind of show, well, talk a little bit about what brought this subject along. I was asked a question, as I was discussing topics of the week, what happened to chivalry? And I know we've kind of talked about that before, but someone asked me that again this week. Well, what happened to chivalry? Or why do men treat women the way that they do? And without getting into the whole deep end of it, I'll ask you guys, just in a general sense, we're not going to get too deep. What do you think happened to relationships to why they are the way they are now? What do you think happened fundamentally? Anybody?
I think I think it's a combination of things. Everything from women just want to be a little bit more independent, and I can do this for myself, and need that. And that's not all women. And
Absolutely.
then even with the guys, this new generation of guys, they're just different. They wasn't raised, I think, with some of the same values that we were raised.
Oh,
When you see a woman, you open the door. Yes,
wow.
ma'am.
Mhm.
You know,
Wow.
your lady is your queen. Those things were taught. In my home. And I had all brothers, but I had cousins. I had my grandmother, my mother. I had special women in my life, so they were always, treated like precious jewels. I don't think that's so much the I don't think that guys today, especially the younger generation, look at the same way. It's just my thoughts.
I couldn't agree with you more, Jay. I couldn't agree with you more. Anybody want to add to that?
I
I
think it
think
may
it has
have
something.
something.
Go
I was
ahead,
just
D.
gonna. I'm sorry. It may have something to do with the fact that men may not feel that women appreciate that anymore either. So
Big one.
if you don't appreciate it, then eventually they just stop doing it.
Big one. Big one. Very big one there. You know, I think you might have froze D because you was hammering in a true point of why chivalry is dead. You
Yeah.
know, that I think for a lot of men, you know, if it's not appreciated and reciprocated, then I think for some people they got to a point where they was like, well, why do it? Why am I going to keep doing it? And Jay talked about this generation. I think about what's happened this past year with the black uh, 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 with the movement dealing with black people, and our rights and civil rights and things like that. Black Lives Matter movement, and you can see the difference in our parents' generation and this generation. And there's some
Mhm.
good and some bad.
Mhm.
The generation from my time, it was the nonviolent approach, turn the other cheek kind of deal. But at the same time, there was a lot more organization. Whereas this newer generation, they're not afraid to get arrested, to die, to fight, to stand up. So I like that part of it. But the disorganization, and so the cause kind of gets lost in the mix of all the things that's happening. And I think to Jay's point, a lot of that has happened generationally. It's not being taught in the homes anymore. And so I think it's not being passed down. So when Jay talks about growing up in a house full of men, boys, brothers, but still being taught that women are valuable, you can't hit a girl, your mother is to be held at a certain standard. If you're going to have a girlfriend, you have to do certain things when it came to manners. Well, if that's not being taught anymore, you know what I'm saying? That therein lies a lot of the problem. What's up, Eric? Appreciate you joining us, brother.
Right.
Let me shout out a special guest I got on tonight, Eric. He has his own talk show as well. Eric, tell him about your talk show, my brother.
Okay, you guys would you please like and subscribe to my channel? It's called the Eric Patterson channel. You can find it on YouTube. And I basically talk about 3 pillars, and that is relationships, dating, and marriage. And my obligation pretty much is the cornerstone for all that. So if you guys have the time, could you please subscribe to the channel?
Absolutely. Thank you. And as I promised my audience for that, as I start the new year, you're going to time see guests like this. So I'm a firm believer in partnering up with people in the same lane. I think together we're stronger, so I don't view Eric as my competition and as much as a partner in this, because at the end of the day, whether you tune in to him, to myself, to anybody else that's given some decent advice, that if it makes you a better wife, a better husband, a better lover, a better friend, we all win. We all win. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that. Bert, Shafana, thank you for tuning in, sweetheart. I'd love to get you guys on camera. So Jay, we're gonna jump into this then, because Jay, you nailed it as far as men, but nobody said anything about women in a way. About what their contributing part was to why we're here.
Can I add something, Black, before
Please,
you?
please, go
All
ahead.
I was gonna say is for me, I think it's a lack of accountability and a lack of responsibility on all parts. The moral gray area has gotten so big, and it's just now, especially with new generation, it's whatever you want to do is fine. No, let's question everything. Let's challenge everything, and it's just really gotten to where anything goes now.
Fantastic point. And ironically, in my notes where I jotted down who's to blame, that was the thing I talked about: the lack of accountability and the lack of responsibility. And for a lot of people, they don't realize those are 2 separate things, 2 completely separate things. And I think that's a very big failure in many cases. And so, especially with women, don't take this the wrong way, but this winning mentality, it hasn't resulted in winning in relationships. Yeah, you got more women than ever before in the workforce. They're writing their own ticket. They have all of these things, but you've heard me say this expression before. When you pray for rain, finish it for me, Jay?
You got to deal with the mud.
You have to deal with the mud. There's something behind that. So yeah, when you pulled yourself up by your bootstrap, and I applaud that, but what have you left behind? Because now when we have lacked in accountability and responsibility, because we talk about what's not being taught in homes. So who do you think is the primary teacher in the home?
It's usually the mother. Yeah.
The mother.
Yeah.
Supposed to be.
Whether that's fair or not, that's the plain truth. That's the plain truth, because even in households where both are working, Jay, you can speak to this. Derek, you can speak to this. Eric, you can speak to this. If there's children in the house, both of you are working, I'm sure, but the primary responsibility in teaching a child, who does that fall on in most cases?
The mother, I would say.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Eric, expound on that, please.
Well, for me, I'm a product of a single parent home. You know, my father, he really wasn't there, you know, a whole lot. So I can only give you my experience. You know, my mom was played mom and dad, but you know, she made sure that my sister and I, you know, had what we needed, you know, to be successful in life. And you know, we both are. You know, I got a bachelor's degree, you know, master's degree. Make good money and stuff like that. So it's possible, but do I think that the mother should be, you know, the person that do all that? I really don't. I think every household should have two parents, you know. And I talked to a lady about that a while back at work. You know, she said she raised her kids by herself, and I was like, you know, that's good and fine. I understand that, but you can't tell me that one parent can raise a household better than two. You know, we had a heated discussion about that. You know, she got mad because of that, but you know, it that's just the world we live in.
That's the world we live in. That's the world we live in. Derek,
And
Jay,
that,
y'all want to add it? I'm sorry, go ahead, D. I'm sorry,
sorry,
speak.
I was gonna say, and I think that's part of the problem. Women have had to be so self-sufficient for so long, and part of that was getting the career because they weren't sure if they were gonna have a husband. And then when you start looking for that relationship, you don't necessarily know how to release the reins a little bit. You know, like
Very good
most
point.
women in single parent homes are taught you got to be independent. You can't depend on a man because that's the experience that their mother has had. So they grow up thinking, I'm gonna have to do this all by myself. And then when they
Very good.
want to be in a relationship, I mean, the options just aren't there. And then, you know, you think that would make you more desirable for a man, that you can take care of yourself or whatever. But I mean, women are finding out that most men don't care about that.
Very, very good points. Very good points.
I want to piggyback on what D just said, but the backside to that is I believe that doing that and being more self sufficient as like you said, women are doing being more independent now. It's almost like when they do meet a guy or try to get in a relationship, it's almost like a competitive show. It's like instead of trying to learn each other and spending time and just enjoy each other's company, it's almost like who chest is bigger. It's like I got this, let me run it. Instead of them trying to learn each other and try to share, they try to figure out who's gonna be the head instead of trying to
Absolutely.
share.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good points. Before I move on, Jay, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Derek to a certain extent because I think it's a, to your question, I think it's a shared responsibility. And you talked about accountability earlier. I think both parents are accountable if the child is a two-parent household. So there are things that, when it comes to my children, that I need them to know. My sons and my daughters, and my wife, she kicks in, and as far as her parts is concerned. I
Right.
don't know if we would say that, I have more responsibility to teach my children, and she has less responsibility. I think it's a shared responsibility.
Right.
You know,
So
I
so
don't,
here's
I
the
don't want my children to say, well, my dad didn't teach me X, Y, and Z, or my mom teach me X, Y, and Z, because if she doesn't teach them, and you're a good example, Freddie, you got to cook, clean, and oftentimes, those roles are not always, traditionally women clean the house and cook, but nowadays a lot of men cook and clean. And I can teach my sons that and my daughters that. So I think it's more of a shared responsibility. At
no
least in my
no
house,
no no. I
God,
agree with you.
I think it's
We
case by case.
agree. And we
Yeah.
agree as a panel. So we weren't saying that it shouldn't be a shared responsibility. What I was saying is who does it usually fall on?
All right.
Because for every household that has that parent in there, there's a far more of them that grew up like me and Eric,
Right.
that there wasn't a dad around. So you're right. Where there's a dad there. So that's what Eric's point was, that he said he had that disagreement, that as great as you can be as a mom, if you're purposely cutting out the man from his role, you're not allowing that child to receive something that's necessary. Now, in my case, it wasn't available. Eric, I don't know if you know my story. My
Mhm.
sister's on his Sherry. We grew up, it's 11 of us, and there was no father around. So my mom had to be mom and dad. Now, the result of that is that there were things that I couldn't learn from my mother because she couldn't teach me. She
Mhm.
can't teach me certain things about being a man. So when it came to, for example, responsibilities about sex and stuff like that, the extent of it was the welfare office is downtown. Don't bring no babies here. That was the extent of it. So if so, so if you're this teenager grappling with, all the things that's happening to your body and you're curious and stuff like that, you gotta at some point decipher, well, what the hell does that mean? You know what I'm saying? You're terrified, so you have to go out and learn those things someplace else. Now, I learned more about being a man from Jay's dad. At 17 years old, I moved. I moved to the South, and that was the first time in my life, in my entire life, where I got to observe what a traditional family role was like and what it meant to be a father in a true sense. Here was some man all of a sudden holding family meetings, and this was a foreign concept to me. All right, everybody, we're gonna get together and we all eating together and talking about family matters, and to have a man governing that, running the household, and things ran efficiently. I learned more from Jay's dad than any man on this earth. So that was who I had to now, when I got married at 21, try to pattern what I could take from him in those couple of years, because it was really already formed. So did I get it all right? Hell no. I got some of it right, but therein lies what we're talking about, that those same things aren't being passed on anymore. Welcome, Hannah, sweetheart. So those aren't being passed on anymore. And so, yeah, it's to Jay's point, it's everybody's fault. We've lost our sense of ourselves. The breakdown of the family unit, the family structure is not what it used to be, because we all know that there is no such thing anymore as a traditional family unit anymore. Doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? We have homes now where there's 2 dads and 2 moms. No dad, no mom, And so this is the reality. Before I moved to Atlanta, I was teaching in a charter school, and I had some of the worst kids you could ever imagine. Kids I wanted to strangle, until I was able to sit back one day in a classroom and listen to them talk. And I heard my absolute worst student. I'm talking about this little kid I hated, 17-year-old guy that I thought about throwing this guy out the window. I swear to God, he was so bad, little young whippersnapper. And I had already planned that if he tests me, he's going out this 3rd floor window, because it's going to be him or me. But I'm sitting in the back of the class one day, and he was telling his friends, they had forgot I was there. And he was telling his friends how his mom, that they had no lights, that they were without power for 6 months. And that his mom was a prostitute and on drugs, and how he was taking food from the school and selling them to feed his younger brother and sister. And it changed everything for me. And in that moment, I began to realize, when this kid comes here, where there's lights and heat and food, he's acting out, because when he leaves here, his life is pure hell. It's absolute hell. And there's nobody there to teach him any better. You know what I'm saying? And so that breakdown in the family structure, traditional families, is gone. So I'm going to lighten the mood, just so you guys know. So like I said, I posted some rules. And I thought about sharing my screen with you, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pluck from them, from what I think, and we'll just kind of comment on them. And again, these are not hard and fast rules, but I think these are just some good traditional standard rules that we can look at, that I think initially was intended for fathers to pass on to sons. But I want to talk about it in terms of how we can use this to get back to the basics of reestablishing men and how we treat women. Because as Bert said in one of his comments, if chivalry ain't dead, it's damn sure on life support. So You know, and I'm taking that from him. So
I like
I'm gonna.
that.
So I wish you guys had the list in front of me. If you want to, you can go to my page while I'm kind of looking at this. I posted it on my actual page, but I literally picked out some things, and we're gonna do for men, then we're gonna do for women. So I'm glad I got a nice little mix of people on here. So the very first one that I thought was very good, and I want you guys, especially you, my brothers on here, to talk about the value of this. The very first rule, it says, never shake a man's hand sitting down. Now, Jay, you got sons. Eric, do you have children? Eric, you on mute. I'm sorry, say again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I do not have kids.
Yeah. So Eric, you okay? So I know Hannah has children. Sherry, D, Tasha, and myself, and we lost Derek, and we bringing in Kennard, and then he have children. Jay, I really want you on this one because you have sons.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What do you think is the value of that first one? The very first rule: never shake a man's hand sitting down. Why is that valuable?
It's a sign of weakness. You know, men, we have this thing, we size each other up. You know, that very first impression. You know, so if I come shake your hand and you're sitting down, number one, I'm standing over you. I'm looking down on you.
Okay.
So I teach my sons, not only do you stand up, you look that person in their eye, and you give a firm grip. You know, so you know that's just part of manhood. You know, if you don't do that, there's an automatic impression from the other person that this guy's is weak. I don't really know no other way to put that. You know, so and then it's also a sign of respect. You know, that's another part of it too. You know, it's just a sign of respect when you stand up and you shake somebody's hand, you look them in the eye, and you introduce yourself and you have a conversation. So those are my thoughts.
I love it, and of course, this is pre-COVID-19. You know, we know that COVID-19 now we may never shake another hand again.
Right.
But I want to ask for the women on the panel before I bring in another guy to comment on that. Why do you, as women, think that that's a valuable trait in terms of that a man should have when it comes to something as simple as shaking a hand and how it applies to you? Anybody?
I think about it more of terms of respect. And again, I'm a woman, I'm not a man, so I would think about it more just in terms of respect and just how you're not only showing respect for that person, but also for yourself. And to Jay's point of like we're on the same level, so let me just respect you. Respect for others is so important. I know I'm all over the place, but it's so important, and it's something that we have lost a lot of. Just common courtesy is something that we just don't see anymore. People holding doors open for elderly women, things like that. It's so
Sherry.
important, and it's so easy to do you're saying a lot by not really saying anything.
I love it. I called out my
I like
sister's
the
name.
point you made too. Yeah.
I called out my sister's name because we were literally just talking about this today about the respect factor that men have for women, even if you're on public transportation where, giving up your seat for somebody elderly, And
Right.
so when you think of something as simple as a gesture, I don't want to be the one to cover everything. Anybody else? I'll get my points in.
Well, I'll chime in on it.
I think
Come on, Eric. Okay. Eric or Kennard, either one. Come on.
Okay, Kennard, you can go ahead. Now go. All right. Well, I'll take it then. All right,
no, go ahead, homeboy. You got it.
Like I was saying, when it comes to a handshake, it's just like you're ready to go on an interview. The first thing the person that's interviewing you're going to see is your appearance. How you look, and then the next thing, like you said before, to give them a handshake. It's going to be their first impression, pretty much their impression of you. So if you give a lazy, weak handshake, you're gonna be like, okay, why do I want to hire this guy? He's not about anything. You want to give a firm handshake. that's just going to let that person feel like, okay, this guy, he's about something. I've had people that when they shake my hand, they try to break it. I'm like, okay, hold up, we're not trying to test each other manhood. I know you're a man and all, man. That's fine. Just slow down. So it's just like that's just how it is. It's just that's just showing the person who you are.
Absolutely. Let me ask you before I bring you in here, Kennard, ladies, what's it feel like when a man greets you, shakes your hand, and it's a limp handshake? Talk to me.
You think everything else about him's gonna be limp if he can't shake your hand.
I'm not a big fan of shaking hands. Don't touch my hand. I don't know. That's just me. Like, don't touch my hand.
So Tasha with her antisocial ass. Okay.
No, because a lot of men don't wash their hands, so that's why I say, don't touch my hand. That's why.
Okay. But Tasha, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Okay.
So we back in our little kicking it days, we in the club, we kicking it. Guy comes up to you, he taking your hand to the dance floor. You want him to grab your hand soft, firm, or whatever. Talk to me, sweetheart.
They don't grab your hand; they grabbed your arm and just kind of drug you. That's all.
Okay. But even with that said, would you go out on the dance floor with somebody grabbing you soft or like? Because Teddy Pendergrass said, "Come here, baby. Turn them goddamn lights off." He didn't ask. He told you what was happening. Turn them off. That's what that man said. And there's a reason why he said it that way. Because you're a man. You're a man, and you have to me, be the man. And that, y'all want to get me started? We've lost out on you can't tell in these new relationships who's the man and who's the woman anymore. Hell, if you walking behind them, you don't know them. The men ass is fatter than the women's now, so you don't know who's the man. So come on. Oh, I'm sorry. Come on. Okay, come on, Jay. Hold on 1 second. Come on, Hannah.
Okay, so two things. My father, who's very military, will judge a man off his handshake, and he's very stern on that. And in business world, business meetings, if I do have to have a handshake, I don't want it soft. You have to be affirmative. You have to have a certain, not saying you have to shake my hand off because I am a woman.
Right.
Handshake has to mean something. Well, not now. Now you can elbow it up. You're not touching me.
Right. Pre-COVID.
Right. At that time, yes, when you greet with the handshake, you want your handshake to be firm. If you greet me like I'm just, high-fiving one of my girls, then no, not at all. I'm not respecting that. We're not going on a date. It's not any of that happening. If I was single, I don't want to get yelled at. If I was
Smart woman. Jay, come on in here with your point.
No.
Okay, go ahead, Jay. I ain't forgot about you, brother.
It's interesting that this conversation is happening now, because I just had a recent conversation with some of my people at work. And so, a lot of times I have to mentor new supervisors.
Right.
And one thing I always tell them, I say, if you're going to lead. You cannot lead from a place of fear. And if you're going to lead. And I appreciate your point. And I kind of tell my boys this: either you're a man or you're not. If you're going to be a man, then I need you to act like a man. And so, I forget who said it earlier, but first impressions is everything.
It's everything.
And like Daracel said, when you give a lip handshake, the only person in the eyes, you're looking down. You have all these mannerisms. If you're not sure of yourself, and that resonates for other people. And so that's just my point.
Absolutely. Kennard, come on, my brother, bring it home for us.
All right, so easily one of my biggest pet peeves, I go to gas stations a lot. And one of my biggest pet peeves is I don't care if the girl drove or not. Dude, get your ass out of the car and pump the gas. You know what I'm saying? I can't stand to see a woman pumping gas with a dude sitting in the passenger side or wherever in the car. I think that is it is a overt case of lack of chivalry.
I'm with you.
I don't think chivalry is dead. I actually if somebody's close by, I'll open the door for them. Chivalry is only dead to that person who has succumbed to peer pressure. That person that said, you know what, you ain't got to open the door for women no more. You don't have to do all these different things, and they wonder why they get what they get. Chivalry is very much in the physiological nature of a man, and I just think it needs to continue to be acknowledged. Matter of fact, black men right now, we are the only people that seems like we are too egotistical to engage in chivalry. And from what I can see, every other species, every other race of men, absolutely not afraid to be chivalrous towards their women. Bottom line.
Ooh, okay. Anybody disagree with that statement?
I just wanted to say this.
Yes, sir. Shots fired. Come on, Tasha.
No, I just, just real quick to what you said about the whole gas station thing. I'm sorry. I want to pump my own gas. It
No,
took
ma'am.
one time. I know, and
No,
I know
ma'am.
it took one time
No,
for
ma'am.
someone to mess it up for me. You're gonna sit in the car. I'm gonna
No,
tell you.
not in
I'm gonna do it
2021,
myself.
Tasha. We're not doing that.
Hold
No,
on.
ma'am.
I want this panel to acknowledge what is the one thing I always tell you about Tasha.
Tasha, I'm gonna tell you like
She's like a guy.
I'm gonna be like
Tasha's
this. If
like a
I
guy.
ever find out that my daughter,
Go ahead, Kennard. Man, we lost you. Come on.
that's one of the things that I think about. Like, hey, Camille, hey, Cameron, if
I can't hear you.
Oh man, we're losing you, Kennard. It's going in and out. It's going in and out.
Okay, here we go. Okay, hey, Camille, hey, Cameron, if the dude can't get out and pump the gas, I don't care if she drove or you drove, you don't need to be out pumping no gas. I can't stand to see that shit.
I'm with you, Kennard, just so you know. So I don't agree with Tasha on that point.
That was a $600 mistake I learned. You're not
I get that, baby. I get that. I get that. If somebody fucked it up, I get that. But my thing is, I'm sorry. I get that. Come on, Hannah. I don't want to leave you out.
15-year-old son, and if Bert's not with me and he's with me, you're gonna get your ass out and you're gonna pump this gas. I don't pump gas and I don't take out trash. And
we lost you. We lost you. We lost you. We only heard that where you said you don't take out the trash.
My bad. Okay, I don't take out trash and I don't pump gas. I'm very capable of doing both. However, I'm not doing it if I have a man with me, and I'm trying to raise my son to be a man. So if you're with me, he opens the door, he pumps the gas, and he take out the trash. And I don't care. I'm not pumping gas. And if I'm with me, like last week, I had to pump my own gas because I had to drive by myself up to Philly. I was very upset. But
I got you.
I'm not. I don't feel like we should. And it's
okay.
And a lot of reasons why a lot of women don't require things like they used to. So that's why men don't care nowadays.
We talked about responsibility and accountability.
Because we don't require it. You don't need it.
Absolutely. But I want to go back to real before I lose my point about what Kennard said about black people, the only ones that really, have problem with chivalry, because I want to see if anybody disagrees with that, and because I don't want to get sidetracked with the gas part, I will just say this last part, Hannah. Baby, if I get you, you got a husband. Now I'm gonna say this now to Bert. Bert, if you're gonna always take out the trash, you better be doing some things in that bathroom and bedroom. But okay, come on. Anybody else? Let me say this.
Anybody I don't know if I agree with him 100%.
Okay. Come on.
If you say black people, when you use that word only, there are other cultures too that that are not stepping up to the plate and doing things that they need to do when it comes to being a man. You got some men that are privileged, some men that come from that was raised with a silver spoon in their mouth, so they're used to being waited on hand and foot. We just got rid of this idiot out of the White House. I can only imagine what he don't do. So I don't know if I agree with that 100% about really always raised. We may see it a little bit more because that person looks like us. But I when you say only, I don't know if I agree with that 100%. And I understand your point. So that's just my thought.
I love his point, and I just want to throw one wrinkle in there. And again, I don't want to go too deep into that part because I ain't even got nowhere close to get to my list. But I want to throw this at you, Kennard, as well. If we're the only people on the planet that have issues with showing chivalry, is it because we're challenged every step along the way by women? I just want to raise that question. Because I was talking to my sister today, when you open a door for somebody now, there's no thank you. In fact, there might be even an argument. Fuck you! Why are you opening this door for me? I can open the door for myself. I see Hannah nodding her head. So, is there a reason? All I'm asking that maybe for black men in particular, that there a reason why, man, we kind of have the hands-off approach now because we said a minute ago, you prayed for this rain now. Well, ladies, it's raining like a mother. You know what I'm saying? But that mud is running all over your ass too now. So
me too.
Yeah.
I think
You
if
know,
black men don't want to be
there is
perceived as
this.
weak, even when it comes to their women. So
I'm
it's
sorry, say
hard
that
for
again,
them.
D. Say that again, D.
I said black men don't want to be perceived as weak, even when it comes to their women. So some of the things that you may do for your woman all the time may be perceived as weak by friends or whatever. Oh, I did this and I rubbed her feet, and they'll be like, "Oh man, you ripped," you know.
Your voice is kind of a little off because I
Is
don't want
it?
to say something.
Can you hear me?
It's a little bit better now, but it was like kind of muffled.
Oh, okay. I don't know what's wrong with. I said black men don't want to be perceived as weak. So, doing those chivalrous things can sometimes be looked at by, other people, friends, as weakness. And, you get called whipped when you say, "Oh, I ripped her feet and I do this for her and I do this for her." And every time she calls you dropping things to leave, they see it as weakness. So black men don't want to be perceived as weak.
I can hear her and it's real low, so I hope you guys can hear that. But she makes a good point. I'm going to move on to another step, but she does make a good point that even when a black man does all of those things, open doors, pull out seats, this and that, well, they have a term for them now. They call them simps. So you can't win for losing that. Even if you do all those good things, oh my God, girl, he's a simp. And she's right. No true man wants to feel like you questioning his character. So in that sense, it's one of the reasons why maybe this shit is not happening. But okay, hold
Can I
on.
add on something to that right quick?
Eric, I'll let you get your last point. Come on, my brother.
What you just said is definitely right. Well, my job is predominantly is 80% guys work there, and the women that work in there, the few women that work there, the guys run out to them, and then the ones that primarily be going out their way, opening the doors, giving them compliments and whatnot. Those are ones I hear they talk about saying that he weak.
Yep.
And saying that he ain't, man, I'm not talking to him. He's doing too much. Like doing too much, too nice. It's almost like they want to do the opposite. Don't want them to do anything. Want them to want to ignore them and whatnot. I'm not saying that women on this panel feel that way, but that's what I've seen in my workplace.
Absolutely. I'm gonna move to another point, and I can see I'm gonna do this a little different. I'm gonna get one more point for men, then I'm gonna switch over and get a couple of points in for women because I want us brothers to be able to comment on this. But I do want to talk about this another point for boys to men. This one is number 14 on the list. Again, the lists are located on my page. If you have children, keep these lists. Number 14 says, you married a girl, you marry her family.
That's true.
Who said that? Come on, Derek. Come on, Derek.
I said that, Black.
But it's true though.
That's very true.
Come on, Eric.
Like I said, another one of my hobbies. I like to cook and I like to grill, and that's something that I do. Quite often, and I've gotten to be pretty good at it. And then whenever my wife know that some grilling or some cooking is getting ready to go down, she start making phone calls. Especially before COVID-19.
Right.
Mom, dad, sister, they was over at our house. Exactly. Hey, exactly. They would be drinking, wine, eating barbecue, and whatever I was cooking, frying fish, whatever I was doing that day. And another thing, Kennard, me and him been knowing each other for a long time. I'm from Alabama, but I live in Georgia now. And I never had a problem with moving. And see, my wife is, she's from Alabama too, but she lives here. We live in Georgia, but she lives about 5 miles down the road from my mom. And
Okay.
Something what women like. They like to be around their side of the family, like to be around their folks.
Right.
So
right.
It was just, and then they feel like you should accept it, and you should, but if it was the other way around, I would like to know how would they feel, if you was all the way around my folk and you had to do some of the things that I do sometimes.
Woo!
That's just something to think about.
Absolutely. Anybody want to comment on that?
Well, nephew, your mother is in that situation. He's around all your father's family.
Yeah.
It goes well. It go well.
I want to say this for me and Kennard, we're around his family. My family is far away, so I married actually to his family and had to be around them. So it's the opposite of Eric's situation.
Okay. But let me throw something out there since we're talking about this. And Eric, one of my viewers, Kendrick, says that we can't, it's a little dark, my brother. They want to see you. So right now we see a dark spot. So they want to see you a little bit more than light. But to Sherry's point, all right, to Sherry's point, when you marry somebody, you marry their family. And this is directed at men in a sense. So I want to ask, why is that a valuable thing to remember when it comes to improving your relationship or keeping the relationship stable? I've been a husband before, so somebody speak on this, please. If not, I'll have to say.
It's the dynamics that you're looking at. You're looking at how they interact, how the mother interacts with the father. You're looking at all of those relationship interactions, because that unfortunately is going to come up in your relationship. This doesn't matter whether you're married or not. When you're dating someone, you want to see how the man treats his mother. You want to see how the father and the daughter, the father and the son, how they interact. The siblings, even, you want to see their dynamic and what all is actually going to be involved in your life, because that molds, that shapes that person. Now, whether good or bad or not, it carries with them, and it'll carry over into your relationship.
Fantastic point. Fantastic point. In case anybody have anything else to comment, she's right. Even if you're not married, when you with that person, once it get to a level of seriousness, we're not just talking about knocking somebody off, but we're talking about when it's getting serious. Yeah, you're getting involved with the whole family, and I think me personally, I think it's a thing of wisdom to see that woman's family, to get an idea of what you're getting yourself into, because I've been a husband. I know what that means, and there's a whole nother level of responsibility that you take on, because now that woman's mother is your mother. Her sisters, her aunties, her relationships with cousins, all of that shit matters. I see a couple of people nod their head. Talk to me on that, because let me say this last part. Even if you ain't marrying them, I run away from a couple of situations, because when I saw all these crazy ass people that she's involved with, that might tell you that this ain't right for me. Let's keep it funky. Let's keep it real.
Yeah. When you get involved with in a relationship with someone, their problems become your problems. It's hard to say believe that, but it's true. So if they're having issues, their family members, or they're not getting along, or they are the main support for their family members, now you take upon that role, even though you say that you're not, you are.
Yes, yes,
Right.
yes, Derek. Yes, Derek. Anybody else? Because I'm gonna put somebody on the spot here in a minute.
I just wanted to add one other thing to it. I
Hold on, laughing at this.
give an example of it. I know we always talk about, like I referenced earlier, the mother, the son, and father-daughter relationship.
Hmm.
The relationship that I think gets looked over sometimes is the mother-daughter relationship, because you see how the mother and the daughter interact and the lessons that she has taught her daughter and how she has told her daughter how life is going to be. For
Right.
example, there's this guy I know, you'll know who I'm talking about, Black. He messed around. He had two kids by this one girl, and it was a mistake. Okay. So he finally met her mother. There, she doesn't live in this country. The mother stays at home. She doesn't work. She expects for her husband to pay for everything, even though now he's up in age and he doesn't have money like that. She has taught her daughter to come to expect the same thing, and those lessons have already been passed down, starting to be passed down to his daughters, and they're only 1 and 2 years old. So
Mhm.
it's very, very eye opening. You have to be careful who you get involved with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jay, I'm gonna put you on the spot here, my brother. You done got too comfortable, but this is a good spot. This is not a bad spot, because again, this is all about improving relationships. I'm saying this because I know this for a fact. Let me tell you about my nephew. Not only did he marry his wife, he married her entire family, and I mean that in a good sense. He's as much of a son to her mother as her own children are. I watched him cut grass, do all kinds of stuff. So what I want you to talk about the value of that, Jay, in terms of recognizing that, okay, I didn't just marry you. I inherited your family, and how and what that means to keep peace in a relationship. So it's putting you on the spot, but not in a bad way.
No, you're fine. Well, I'll start off by saying this. Marriage sometimes can be complicated, and oftentimes um, it don't always start off that way as far as the relationships being, kumbaya. Now,
Yeah.
it did in my case with on my wife's side. But I'll be frank here. My mother and my wife, my mother was very territorial when it comes to to me and we have 2 children. And so her and my wife, they started off on a rocky road. And since then, they're that she every time you turn around, my daughter-in-law, my daughter-in-law, my daughter-in-law.
Hmm.
So it does play a huge role because if my mother doesn't like my wife and my wife don't like my mother, that puts me in a very uncomfortable situation. And
Mhm.
vice versa, with her side. But you're right. Now I actually have, I have 2 moms. My wife's mom, my mother-in-law, that's my mother. She calls me right now. I go run. I love her to death. Her brothers, her sisters, her cousins. I have another family. So I would tell anybody, consider that. There are times where you may have to walk away because you see some things that you don't like. Um, but when you get married, you marry not just the woman or the man, you marry their family too, and
Right.
Eric, I
all
saw
the
you.
issues that go along with that.
Eric, I
Yeah.
saw you shaking your head. I know you got something to say. Come on.
Well, yeah, he's telling the truth, man. You really do. Your in-laws, once you get married, they're just like, your family. Well, they are your family, but they're just like, your mom and dad and your sister, because a lot of times, they come over, you see them a lot, they cohabitate with you. When they need something, your wife come up and say, well, sister can't pay the car note this month. What we gonna do about it? Like,
Yeah, what we gonna do about it?
I've been married.
what we gonna
I've
do
been
about it?
Yeah,
married.
you
Can't
tell the
say,
truth.
I don't
I've
know
been
what
What
we
married.
we
gonna
gonna
do
do?
about it.
I've been married.
And see that, and that's how it is.
That's how it is. That's how it
That's
is.
how it is.
And let me add something else too, Black. Family is not always blood too. And I use this panel,
Right.
and I use
Right.
Daracel. When I first met my wife, Daracel met me and Daracel. and she knew how close Araceli and I was, and you know whatever. And so it was good that they became friends also, because you know she's close to my heart. And
Right.
so you know you get, and same thing with Derek. You know, so you know you have family, you have friends that are just like family. So you got to take all that stuff into consideration.
Absolutely. And that's a huge part. Sherry, I'm gonna put you on the spot. You sitting here like a frog, baby. So I'm gonna put you. I gotta make you jump. I gotta make you jump. Come on. But it's a good spot as well, because I want to highlight something, that there's a flip side. Our mom is 85 years old, and my sister's husband, you know, through different circumstances, was end up staying and caring for our mother at one point. And her husband cared for my mother in more ways than I could.
My grandma.
Right, your grandmom. And so, sis, talk about that. That even in the midst of turmoil and issues, what it says for you. I want to focus on you, not the family. For you, that your husband was caring for our mother, and the value of that.
It was very valuable. But really and truthfully, he ain't had no choice. He was going to be getting down there to take care of my mother because I said so.
No, I'm gonna stop you right there. I gotta stop you right there. Every person got a choice.
Well, he ain't have one.
Every person got a choice. And I know you like to play tough, you know, and everything, but he could say no. Now let's be honest. Let's be honest. We're gonna keep it real now. Even though you tough on him, he clearly did it out of love for you and for his mother-in-law. So I don't want you to frame it that way, that you bullied him into do it. That's not right.
No,
We're not gonna say that. We're gonna do that.
No, it wasn't like that.
Because you wasn't there. He was there.
Yeah.
And so if it was a situation where he felt bullied, he could have poisoned our mother. We're not gonna do that. So we're not gonna say that. He clearly had a love for her and a respect for you.
Yeah, true.
So that's what I'm talking about. Now, the dynamics of whether you boss him around, that ain't got shit to do with what goes on in your bedroom. God bless him, you know, but I'm talking about in this instance.
I'm not bossing him. He just, that it needed to be done. He was the person that could do it at the time, and he was going to do it. I mean, I'm glad that he had enough love for me, that he loved her enough to do it for her. Yeah, of course.
That's the point I'm focusing on. Now, the dynamics of how y'all marriage work, God bless him.
You know how our marriage works.
That's what I'm saying. You know, I love you to death, but I'll put a noose around your neck and drag you down the street. So I love you, but
we talking about how we treat women. And you're gonna talk about my aunt like that.
You already know.
I'm not gonna go back and agree. It's only my people who do stuff like that.
But you already know.
Folks on this show, I don't deal with women from New York. I love them to death. You can keep them. You can keep them. Keep that monkey ass up there in the snow where they belong. But okay, that's a whole nother subject.
You got 17 inches right now.
That's a whole nother subject. All right, folks. But I wanted to highlight that. Let me cross over to the women now, because we gonna keep this on. So we're talking about from girls to womanhood, and y'all know we just joking. This is my sister. This is my heart. I love her to death. Just so y'all should know that, you know. Kendrick says, Sherry, you about that life. Kendrick, you have no idea. You have no idea. But that's a whole nother subject. So we're gonna cross over to some women. And again, I hope you guys check this list out. But I'm gonna go for the women to number 6. Is that the one I want to talk about on the list for women? Number 6, I believe, is the one I want. No, that ain't the one I wanted. That ain't the one I wanted. Okay, I'm gonna start with number 1, because this one is personal to me. Number 1 on the list for women, and again, this is for girls and developing into women, because I want to talk about this one is innocent. It says, make your bed every day, even if it's right before you get in. Why does anybody think that was put on the list? Make your bed every day, even if it's right before you get in?
Because
What's the value of that? Come on, Sherry, you have something to say.
because you should make your bed when you get up. You know, that's what we was taught. We had
Okay.
to. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So many women now these days, they don't even make a bed. And then
So
they say,
what's the value of that, sis? Why was that valuable to you as a girl, and how did it translate to you as a woman and being a wife?
well, first of all, when you keeping your bed made, it looks good. It tells a lot about a woman. You keep your things together. A man will really want to come home to a nice, you know, straight bed. You know what you saying?
How you carry your household.
My daughter says the way you carry your household.
That's my niece in the background. She say, "How you carry your household?" D, you nod your head. Come on, baby, get in here.
No, but I'm saying that's you. We always was taught to do that, so we still do that to this day.
To this day, to this day. Come on, lady. Come on, lady. Somebody got to have something. I thought D was not ahead. Hunter, Candace, hold on. Candace, baby, you ain't said nothing. You ain't said nothing. Come on in here.
I agree with what Sherry said. My grandmother and mother have always taught me as soon as you get up, you make your bed, and that it goes with just how you take care of yourself and your home and in your family. So I agree with Sherry.
Right.
Okay.
I disagree with it. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Black, you see my house. You see how I keep my house. We grew up having to make our bed every day. I refuse to make my bed now. I detest making my bed. I detest it. I don't sleep well because I stay everywhere, but I'm not gonna make up my bed every day. They say it's how you're supposed to start your day and getting the one thing off of the. I think that's a stupid fucking rule. I'm just gonna say it.
Just tell us how you really feel.
I just don't agree with it. I don't think that just making your bed will really represent how you keep your house. I think a better representation of that is your kitchen and your bathroom. I think that's a much better representation.
Okay. Come on. Cause she know I'm gonna come back with a comment. Anybody else want to say something to that?
I don't think you make your bed also to represent your household. I just think it looks presentable. When you wake up in the morning, you sleep through your bed all night. It's disheveled. You wake up, your bed is made, it looks presentable, and then you can go about your day. To me personally, even if we're laying in the bed late on a Saturday, when we wake up, we're making the bed because it just makes everybody's different. It just makes your day go better. When you see your bed is made, you don't want to come out the shower and blankets all over the floor and pillows everywhere. I have 1,000 pillows.
Tasha does too.
Tasha does too. My pillows, but anyway, I just feel like when I make my bed, the room is we're not dirty, but if your room is not all the way put together the way you want it, your bed just makes the room look more presentable at that moment to me.
Okay.
Well, I have a question for Tasha. So, Tasha, when you bring in a friend over and your bed is not made, what do they say?
A lot of times they don't even pay attention to that because that does not even matter. That's the last thing they're looking at is if your bed is made. Okay, you're gonna mess it up anyway.
No, because I'm just asking because I would look for that for him to say, like, damn, you ain't even made your bed.
Yeah.
If you got to get down, they don't care.
My pillows are arranged of how I don't move around that much, so I sleep with my pillows like in a U shape, and my comforter is folded down. I don't even sleep under my comforter. I hate that; it's too hot. So it's really just I have like a thin blanket and then the sheet. It's not messy, but that's the last thing they're looking at is if the bed is made.
Jay, Eric, Derek, Kennard, I got to get you in here. It's almost a full-rounded thing now. Jenny P says it's an outdated rule. She said, however, I do get it. When my husband arrives home, it appears that things have been kept in my home. Having a meal prepared seems to carry the importance. So the deadest here's women are telling you that's not relevant. I want to ask my guys, Jay, Eric, Derek, Kennard, is that relevant to you?
Well, can I speak on that?
Please.
And I want to speak on that because, for the simple fact, in my household, I do all the cooking, point blank. That don't make me no less than a man because I do that. I do it for one thing because I like doing it, and also, like I told you before, it's a hobby. And my wife don't cook. You know what I'm saying? So she does other things very well, but cooking is not one of the things that she does. So with that said,
knows.
Like I said, everybody household is different.
Right.
And I think that's kind of stoic and kind of like you back in 1945, 1950, when women just coming home and just have to cook and stuff like that.
Okay.
But, for me personally, I think you can actually share that role. But that's just how I see it.
I love it. Anybody else, guys?
I agree with Eric. I don't know if it's just I'm more what would bother me more if I go in the bathroom and that trash can. There are certain things that you need to put either flush or wrap up in some tissue that I don't need to be seen.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna go get graphic with that.
No.
To me, there's a level of cleanliness that I look at.
I love it. I love
it. Your bed is, it's nice to have it made.
Good.
If you don't make it, I'll make it. I'm like, that's not just a deal breaker for me, but there are other things when it comes to just being a female and being clean and hygiene that turn a lot of men off.
Okay. Hold on, Sherry. Hold on. I promise you I'm gonna come back to you. Derek, come on.
Well, for me, it's when it comes to that adage of cooking and all that, it's not a big thing to me as well because I work and how my household is ran. And sometimes my daughter comes home with just me and her, so we got to fend for ourselves because mom might not be home, but she might be home after she goes to sleep. So it's like if I come home, my thing is my mom always taught me. He said, "Don't wait for nobody to eat because you end up being hungry."
Okay.
So if I can't feed myself, who else gonna?
What about that bed though, my brother? What about making that bed?
On the bed, I'm gonna say that too. It's not a big deal to me because a lot of times, like I said, how I get up in the morning, I get up before 5 in the morning. So by the time I get up, people might be still asleep.
Okay. Okay. Kennard, I'm giving you the last male word on it. I think you're frozen.
I mean, in an ideal world, a bed being made would be great.
Okay.
You can find stuff. Stuff ain't all place, but that's obviously not a deal breaker for me. I mean, it just is what it is. And as far as like even with gender roles in our household, the gender roles are not always traditional because of the way we work, especially prior to COVID. It was a situation where Candace actually worked longer hours and I was actually, so I had to do a lot of the cooking and the caretaking, which isn't a bad thing. I just adjusted to the role. So I think any person or any couple who are just rigid to traditional roles, you might be playing yourself because that may not be what the situation dictates. So
okay. Sherry,
here's something that I did want to say about. I'm going to go back to the situation where men and women marry into each other's families. I will say this: it was very easy for me when I married into Candace's family because they openly embraced me as a son and as a nephew, and because they call me cousin, nephew, and all this other stuff. So it's very easy, which makes me think that is it a possibility, because this is the case, and I've seen it in a lot of situations. Is it possible that it's harder for the woman to have that transition than it is for a man? Because it seems like at times women are not readily accepted in the family are. You man, ooh, man, boy, I'm glad you done took this girl off my hands. But when it comes to a man welcoming a woman, and I will admit, it was not an easy orientation.
Okay.
So
So
that's
I
something that
will
I
say
want
this. So
to
definitely that's
we
something to
talking
think
all this
about.
stuff.
So it's many men watching this. Please keep that in mind. I'll come back to that in a second, Sherry. I don't want you to forget your point because she was going to say something about making beds. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying the way we grew up, that we had to make our bed when we got up out of it. So that's how I grew up, and my daughter's the same way. She gets up at 5:30 in the morning going to work also, but her bed is made.
So for you, that matters.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that you have to, because you married, you have to have your bed made up every day. But we usually do. It's just routine.
Okay. So I'll give my thoughts. On it. I'm a single guy. I've been married before. Tasha, stop laughing. Okay. So here's my thing. I've been married before, and I'm old fashioned. It's the principle of it for me. Jay, Eric, Derek, they all married. You got your queen. So for me, it's I guess as I'm looking for the next ex Mrs. Moore. So my thing is, it matters because it's on principle for me. Now, in an ideal situation, no, I don't expect the bed to be made every day, but I am going to be honest with you. It matters, because to me, it's a sign of how you keep house, how you treat your body. Now, there's always an anomaly. So don't let Tasha fool you in a sense about the making bed thing because her apartment is immaculate. It's immaculate. Jay's nodding his head because he's been in there. And that's not a trick. That's not some kind of sometimes. She has 2 dogs, and if you walked in her apartment, you wouldn't even know she has pets. She's extremely clean or whatever. Now, Tasha's single like I am. She has situationships like I do. So quite naturally, the guy's not interested in what her bed looks like because that doesn't matter. In fact, she's such a bossy little something that they can't even go in a damn bedroom until she okays it anyway. So that's a mute point. But so don't let that. Now, for me, it matters because this is the reason why I operate the way I do. If I'm dealing with a woman and you got a nasty ass bed, that's why I knock them down in my living room. Most of them don't make it to my bedroom because half of them have these filthy ass bedrooms. When they making these TikTok videos and whatnot, and I can look in the background and see that your mattress is sitting on the floor, you got a blanket up for curtains and shit. My thing is, if you ain't gonna treat your own body as well, I don't want you in my home. I don't want your musty ass in my bed. So my thing is that's why I'm gonna beat you down right here in the living room so that I can throw them little dirty sheets into the washing machine and you ain't gonna be in my bed. That's why I don't do the whole culling thing like that. It's a principle kind of thing. So that's why for me, it's about principle because guess what? If you're aspiring to get a man, you're gonna have to show me you know how to keep house. Like Eric, I can take care of myself. I was married for 8.5 years. And I did all of the cooking. I actually did all the cleaning, the grocery shopping. The only thing I didn't do was cutting grass. But I did require a wife that had the standards of being clean. Because guess what? I need you to better me, to push me to be better. And so going back to the beginning of this conversation, that we've lost vision of tradition, that when we get to a point where it doesn't matter whether you clean your sheets or not, because half these women are laying around on filthy, nasty sheets that ain't been washed in 3-4 weeks. Tasha used to manage a laundromat, and when you're a woman bringing in everything you own that's dirty as a mother hubber, that you done waited 2 months and now you bringing all your filthy sheets in, roaches crawling out of it, crumbs, lollipops stuck to the sheets and shit like that. You nasty, filthy, no good. Why would I want you?
Half of them don't even have sheets. They just laying on the pissy mattresses. That's the sad part.
There you go. There you go. So for me, it matters. It matters. But if we can debate that. I'm gonna go to another point for women. While I got time, number 17 on the list. I know you ladies will agree with this, but I'm more interested in how the men are going to react to this. When you talk about a rule that can improve relationships between the sexes, number 17 says, "Your body, your rules."
Always.
Exactly.
Always.
Point blank, period.
Exactly.
Say it
But
again.
okay, I'll interject. So my body, my rule. I can do what I want. It's my body. I was born with it. Well,
Jay, I see you smiling because I know you're coming. But
how
okay, come on, Hannah.
when you're in a relationship, even if it's your body, your rules, I feel like this is a level of respect. So certain things I used to wear in my 20s, I used to be ass naked. I'm be dead ass.
Me too.
I was naked. I mean, you saw it all skin. But now I won't do it at this age, and I wouldn't do it out of disrespect for him. So if I wear certain things, he don't care what I wear, but I still ask like, babe, is this okay? Out of respect, because it's my body, but I'm still your woman. So I don't want to put everything on display for other people that you should see in private, if that makes sense. So yes, it's your body, your rules, but if you have a significant other, you should have enough respect, even for yourself, to do certain things that won't disrespect him as your other,
Okay.
That's
I
a
think
drop the mic.
I've heard
I mean,
people say,
that's my feeling.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jay. Oh, no.
No,
Go ahead. Go
no,
ahead, D.
I'm
Hold on,
saying
Jay.
I agree with Hannah 100%. You know, I understand the whole your body, your rules, but you know, when you got married, you know, you got a husband now. So, you know, when you wear certain outfits and do certain things with your body, you know, you represent me. So I don't, you know, I really would like to hear, I guess, that more perspective from the women.
Hold on. Say that last part again. When you wear
When,
certain things, you're what?
if you wear certain outfits that are too revealing, then you disrespected me. If I'm not in agreement or if I don't approve, you know. So my wife, for instance, she's thick, you know. So you know she can wear certain outfits that's just a little bit too revealing. That I don't need everybody seeing my goodies. You know what I'm saying? So out of respect for me, she won't do it. So yeah, you could go there about your body, your rules, but you know, I guess the question is if you want to stay in the marriage or not. So.
but damn.
wait a minute. So listen, when you met me, I was dressed in a certain way, and that's what you
In
found
your 20s.
attractive. So why? That's okay. If you still think I'm attractive in my 30s or my 40s, why is it a problem now? If I want to wear a short dress and we going out or whatever, you know, I don't see what the issue with it is. I wear what I want. I mean, period.
You don't care
So,
how sinless it is. It's my question.
it depends on where we're going. I mean, I wear what I want always.
And then there's a whole nother element to it
Candace
too,
is agreeing.
Can I
because
say
when you
Candace
have
nodding her head.
children, you not only you should think about your husband,
I
but
do.
about the children. So
I
you wear this
do.
scandalous outfit that if you bend over, they see everything that God gave you.
I don't wear I don't wear stuff like that because I
Well,
have
then
a
we
daughter.
then,
But if
then,
I
then we
wanted
do
to,
it.
I would.
We do
We're
it.
not talking about the kids. We're talking about the husband aspect of it.
If you get
And
dressed, you get dressed at home.
I do, but when I go out, I want to dress sexy too, and so I
No,
do.
I'm not. See, I think you're missing the point. I'm not.
No, you missing the point.
I'm
you
not.
said,
You saying that when I'm with my husband, or if you were my husband, or you know your wife, you don't want her dressed in a certain way because you feel like it's disrespectful to you. But when you guys met, I'm sure she was dressing sexy, and you didn't have a problem with it. It's why is there this whole different level now that you're married? You found her attractive in that dress when she was single, and you were chasing after her. But now, you know, and I'm sure you look at other women, as a lot of men do, when they're dressed that way. It's you know a double standard when it's your wife.
When
So
I
that's
was a
what I'm
boy,
saying.
when I was a boy, I did it
Yeah.
boys and childish things.
Good
Now I'm
point.
a man.
Good
So when
point.
I met my wife almost 20 years ago, we
Mhm.
both wore outfits, did things that we wouldn't think about doing now. when you know better, you do better. When you get older, you change, you know. But even then, you know, there were still certain outfits that I just honestly I never agreed with. She never, and I have to give my wife credit, and there's people on this panel I can vouch for that. She never really wore outfits like that anyway. But I do see
Camera
situations
down
where
a little
couples, I think
lower,
they're,
so we can see if D put there you go. Because Kendrick says, "Wear what you want," as he sips his drink. Okay, I just wanted the audience to get a look at the outfit. But okay,
Can I say one thing though?
Yeah, I want.
I feel like
Jay, I'm feeling you, my brother.
It's
Come
just
on, Hannah.
cleavage. I mean,
it's
it's just
just
cleavage. That's what I'm saying. It's just cleavage. So
no, but
I
Hold
would
on,
be
for the record,
sexy.
I love the outfit. But
yeah,
okay.
that's cool. Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna say one thing. I believe in dressing sexy, like all the time.
Thank
Okay.
you.
But would I wear my sexiness with him versus if I'm not with him is a difference as well.
Hold on. Say that one more time.
Would I wear a sexy outfit when I'm with him versus when I'm not with him is different as well. So I mean, I have this one dress that a red dress I wear that he will not let me wear it by myself.
Am I the only man that caught that?
No.
I call
it. What I say?
He on here, so you know.
Hannah, explain that.
So if I'm with him, I'll wear like certain outfits that is a little risque. Okay.
With him. Hold on, with him.
I'm with him.
Okay.
Now, one time I tried to wear this dress out. He really never said anything. One time I tried to wear the same dress I wore out when I was with him. He was like, what you doing? And I was shocked. I'm like, well, I had it on with you. And I realized you were with me. So it's a difference I'm not small, but I'm not big. I'm like in between little. All right.
Straight up, let's put it where it's at.
All
What
right,
did I think that's what you're talking about?
I have mild curves. So I'm looking. So I mean, I know that certain things I wear, someone else would wear to be different. So I wouldn't wear without him now versus wear it without with him. So I do believe in being sexy, D. Like I think you should be sexy at all times in my book.
But see, I think that's the misunderstanding. I love when a woman dressed sexy.
Even
There's
your
a
wife.
difference between dressing sexy and then dressing slutty. And that's why I draw the line. So no, my wife always, she's beautiful and always sexy to me. She don't put on outfits that I don't care for that I don't like because she's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? But there's and putting on certain outfits that are too revealing that you can see through. That again, that comes up here where you've been down and then you see everything. That's a difference I'm talking about. So
Well, as grown women, your sexiness changes. I mean, when I was 20, I dressed like a straight hoochie. I mean, everything was hanging out there.
God,
Everything
you
was
had fun.
perky
God, you
and
had fun.
hair. But as a woman, it's changed. My idea of sexy is different. So
it's different. Right.
True.
You just like to argue with me, that's all. That's okay.
Very true.
Well, your outfit changes.
We've been doing this for 30 years. Huh?
Your outfits change the older you get, whether you're male or female.
Absolutely.
You should be dressing the same way in your 20s as you did your 30s and your 40s.
Right.
And another reason, it goes by childhood. I dressed it real sexy in my 20s because I was a PK. I had to wear skirts down to my ankles growing up. I had to wear prayer cloths. So when I got 20, I was like, shit, I'm naked. I'm out here. Because I didn't have the privilege of having jeans on as a child or anything. So you also got to realize the history behind why that woman is dressing the way she is at that point in time.
Okay. They're all good points. Anybody got anything last to add? I observed mine to the end. Come on, Tasha.
Yeah, I think we really got too hung up on the whole wearing clothes because that's super subjective. It just depends on who you are. I've never been one to just dress just overtly just sexual. But again, that's just how I was raised. I just don't do that. But as far as your body, your rules, my body, my rules, for me that speaks to anything that happens to it and what I choose to do with my body. That is your health, whether or not you want to have sex with someone. And that could be a whole, that's a whole other thing too about how often you're supposed to be giving your body to your husband, as husband and wife, how often you're supposed to be doing that. At the end of the day, it's still my body. It's still my choice, whatever it is I want to do to it.
All right. I love that. So let me add my little 2 cents to it. I'm gonna start off in the immortal words of Dave Chappelle. You know, now if you go outside and you got your turtleneck and your titties all mushed up together and popping out the top of the turtleneck, you know, no, I'm not talking about your outfit. I love your outfit. The point he was making with this is that when a guy comes up to you and say, "Oh, look at them titties," you can't get offended because, as he put the joke was that you might not be a hoe, but you sure wearing the outfit of a hoe.
Mm.
So the point he was making in this argument was, be careful because you don't want to send the wrong message. Because if that's the case, if you're gonna stand on that principle, my body, my rules, but then you come outside and wear some shit where, like Jay said, well, you bend it all over and it's see-through. Now I'm looking at you in a leering way. You get what you get because you're asking for that attention. And then now all of a sudden you want me to back off and treat you in a certain kind of way. On principle, it is your body, it is your rules, but it sends such a wrong message. And that's why this was on a list from girls to men, because what I see that's interrupting relationship is, I talked about this before. Go on TikTok right now, and look at 90% of the videos out there with young girls. They have on something that's inappropriate. So then we want to question why they're attracting grown-ass pedophiles, because somebody's buying that for them. That little 14, 15-year-old girl and walking around with her ass half hanging out, the belly showing, and she got a belly ring and this snap. Be careful the message that you're letting your daughters send out there, because that's the attention they're attracting. And
Can I say this? Can I say this? Because I don't agree with what you're saying. I think we need to change the narrative. Instead of telling girls that they should dress a certain way, how about we tell guys to stop being creeps? How about we teach our sons to not disrespect women because they got on shorts and it's summertime? How about we do that? How about we tell rapists not to rape instead of telling girls not to drink and not to be
I want to answer that.
That's what we need
I want
to
to answer
change.
that. In a perfect world, you're right. But I can tell you one thing with 100% certainty: you can't regulate behavior from the beginning of the time. It's not realistic. In a perfect world, you should be able to wear that and be okay. That's not the world we live in, baby. So my thing is, if you got a 13, 14-year-old daughter and you okay her to wear that outfit, reality is she's going to attract that kind of attention. And so for you to expect that the world to look at your daughter with the same love, admiration, and respect that you have, it's not realistic. Nobody is going to love your child like you do. You brought these kids into the world, so you might love them to death. To me, they might be some little nappy head bitches. So the reality is, nobody's going to love your kids like you're going to love them. So guess what? As a parent, because we don't live in that perfect world, you have to protect them from all of those reasons you just said, D. That how many people out there teaching these boys to not look at them that way, to teaching grown-ass men to not look at them that way? The FBI data files are filled with pedophiles that are looking on TikTok right now because nobody's telling them it's okay. So guess what? When we get to that perfect place where we're teaching our boys and our men to respect, you're right, but that's not the world we live in right now. And so that's what I'm saying, to affect relationships. Those boys, I told this story before, and I'm not going to use no names. I let a young girl use my phone, a young girl, for a few days. Found out that all my data was burnt up and I couldn't download any more music. Took that phone to Cricket to find out what was wrong. The agent behind the desk was looking at my phone and called over another agent and said, well, and I'm standing behind just whistling Dixie and shit. You know, this was a 13-year-old girl, and I'm watching this agent call another agent, come in and everything. And they looking at me, and I didn't know why. Long story short, there was over 1,000 dick pics on my phone of young boys. I loaned my phone to a young girl, and she had downloaded over so many dick pics that it killed the memory. So here these two damn grown people looking at me as a grown ass man like I'm some pedophile and I'm in love with little boy dicks. In a perfect world, it would be different. But that's a true story, you guys. And so when I look at that rule of it, y'all laughing, that's a real story. I grabbed my phone and got the hell out of there before they arrested my monkey ass.
I hope you got another phone. You should have got rid of that phone.
I got the hell up out of there and realized, oh my God. And that was the moment where that little girl, 13, in my mind, I did not know that that's what 13-year-old girls was looking at. It was pick after pick after pick after pick after pick. Hell, and what made it so embarrassing, these little 13-year-old boys had bigger dicks than me, but that's a whole nother story. But okay.
Oh my Lord.
That's a whole nother story. But it's your body, it's your rules. It is right. But be careful. Be careful. I'm telling y'all, that's the real. That's why that's why I'm picking these rules out, because there's a lot to be said, to that, you know what I'm saying? Karma Dizzy says it's dangerous in this day and age for women to dress however, because there's too many creeps targeting women based on how they look and harm. D, I think what you got on is sexy. I think it's presentable. No, and I'm being serious, I think it's tasteful, so I wasn't highlighting your outfit to show because I thought it was untasteful. Hell, you know what I'm saying? I'm pissed off that I ain't got nobody in this mother wearing an outfit like that. So I love the outfit.
Can I ask the women a question?
Go ahead, please.
So does the same thing apply for guys? Your body, your rules.
No sweatpants.
So do we have any fans of Prince?
Not at all.
I love
fans of Prince.
I love Prince.
Up in here.
What about on the panel? So what about his fashion choices? So
with his hands hanging out.
Exactly. Your husband went out with you on the date.
Darcel, you just freaky, so you don't count.
And his behind was hanging out.
You don't. I'm eliminating. Darcel, I'm eliminating you from this.
Nasty. No, that's nasty.
See, I'm eliminating you from this.
But it's your body, but your butt shouldn't be hanging out as a grown man. That don't have nothing to do with you being your body. We're not going out here looking tacky. If I see your butt, it's a problem.
But Hannah, do you realize that most women, I ain't say most women, a lot of women, and they go out nowadays, you can see all of them. They wear their clothing allows you to. They want you to see that. They want you to see that thong. And so I think that's okay. If you're single, and that's what you choose to do. But when you get married, you have to be cognizant of that.
Thong single. Let's be clear. I said be sexy. I didn't say be tacky. I don't think you should be showing your thong single.
There's a difference.
You could be sexy and not.
There's a difference.
You should have your thong showing.
And there's a difference.
That's why they're thongs, so you don't show your panty lines. So
and you're right, Hannah. But that's where the line crosses. You're right, Hannah. You're right, Hannah.
But there's no modesty anymore. Everything now is about embrace yourself, embrace your sexuality. There's a difference in embracing it I don't even want to see that irks my nerves. I don't want to see your titties, your ass. I don't even want to see that from another woman. I don't think it's sexy. Modesty. Keep that shit to yourself and whoever you're fucking at that time. I don't want to see it.
Now, I have a question. Do women say that because they can't wear it? Because I've heard women before that make comments like that when they can't wear it. You know, the little shorts. I don't have a problem with women wearing any, and men, if you want to have your nuts hanging out, that's cool with me.
No, hygiene. This is the thing now with these shorts now. These girls are going out. They're not even shorts. They're going up into their vaginas with their pussy lips hanging out the side. They don't clean themselves. So now I got to be subjected to your smell on top of that. So no, I think a lot of women who get defensive about the revealing clothing, it's just a defense to it, and it's easy to go to. Oh, well, you can't wear it. No, it's about respect for me, because you don't have enough respect to me to decide to even ask me if I even want to see you in that. Because there's a lot of women who wear things that are bigger that shouldn't be wearing certain things. Leggings are not for everybody, and that's painful on either side.
That's subjective, though. You know, who am I to tell a big girl that she can't wear leggings? I got leggings on, or I got a swimsuit on, or I got a two-piece on. You know, so I think
agree.
it's all subjective.
I agree with Dee. It's very subjective. I'm not going to tell anybody what they can wear, and right now it's generational. And the reason why they're so free about people dressing is because, especially for us Black women with our curves, we've always been demonized and criminalized for what we look like and what we wear. And so now people are actually more accepting of our curves and what we look like now, especially like in the work world. Remember that teacher babe? She was very curvaceous. Anything she wore, it showed her body. And so some people can't help how sexy they look. She could have on some jeans, and they said it was inappropriate. So it's very subjective, but it goes to, Lee, I saw an article on your page, the little girl Chloe. Right now she's being harassed for what she did and how it looks good. And so I feel bad for her. She
looks good though. She looks good.
Okay. Let me give it a different opinion now, and we may have to revisit this on another subject. I posted that article because I don't agree with her. She's a very attractive young girl. The thing that irritated me about the article is, if you read the article, she's talking about she was just expressing herself, you know, and this and that. But when you show up in your drawers, that the video was supposed to be about her incense, and what she called it with the incense? Saging. She said I was saging. But did you have to sage in your drawers and arch your back with your ass poking up in there?
She's in her bedroom.
Let me say this. Let me say this. Thank you for saying that. Thank you. You proving my point.
No.
So you proving my point, not yours.
No.
So my point is that you saged in your bedroom with your back arch and your ass hanging out in your drawers, and you actually did a little move. Then you wonder why we looked at you sexually? Come on, y'all.
People wear less.
Come on, y'all.
People wear less.
We're not talking about people. We're not talking about people. We're talking about. Don't get upset now because the attention you got was negative, because you did it in full well knowing you wore your musty drawers out with your ass hanging out, staging for attention, and you was glad for the positive attention, but now the negative attention. Now, don't get me wrong. I will stuff myself so deep in her that I'll impregnate her grandchildren. But I'm just saying, don't sit around here and talk about that you're talking about like, oh my God, that I'm so appalled and I don't want. You knew what you was doing.
But no, it's not that. It's women out here. Her being disrespectful. First of all, I think she looks good. She has a nice body. It's not the men though. You would think it's the men. It's the women who look like spare tires.
She was a nasty, filthy.
Women that look like bag of garbage, they the ones that got the comment.
Y'all go to my page.
A problem with it.
Go to my page and look at this video and read the article. More importantly, because all these women is coming to her defense, but look at what she's doing. You know, so now if I come out swinging myself around, then wonder why I'm gonna get the come on.
Men are doing the same challenge though. There are men on Twitter doing the same silhouette challenge with their whole dick and balls out, and nobody's saying a damn thing. Trey Songz released his whole penis on the internet earlier.
But okay, I think this is the bigger. I think the bigger issue is that when the people are doing it, these girls, because they're getting younger and younger, and I've seen some really risque of these silhouette challenges. There, people have learned to remove those filters off of there to where now you can see everything and nothing is hidden anymore. And that's the bigger thing. And now you're a big name person. You're being put out there. What is she trying to do? The Little Mermaid remake now?
No,
Do
that's
you
her
really
sister.
think
That's
companies
not
are going
her.
to want to back you now when those images hit, that it's no longer filtered? It's just you
That's
butt
her-
ass naked doing that?
That's her sister
That's her
that's
sister,
doing
and
it.
she
They're
wasn't
they've
naked.
separated. Her sister is the more wholesome one, where she's the one that wants to experience and be more sexy. So they've separated their Instagram pages because of that reason.
I'm gonna
And
say
she
this.
wasn't naked,
I'm
and then
gonna
she
agree
had
with
on
Karma
bra and
Dizzy.
panties.
I'm gonna agree with Karma Dizzy. Karma Dizzy says it's a double standard. Is it right? It's not.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? We don't live in a fair world. Fair is where they judge pigs. And so I've said this for 20 something years of my life. Is it fair that I can go and shake my balls and show myself and not and gender the same? No. But the reality is that I've been saying this for 20 something years. You can't do what I do. A woman can't do what a man does. It's not fair, but that's the reality. That is the reality of it is. So my thing is she knew what she was doing. I personally loved every bit of it. But I object to the fact that now you're wondering why you're receiving negative attention and that Taraji P. Henson and this one and that one is coming to your offense. Like, come on now. Stop it. Stop it.
Whatever you put out there, and it's the internet. Whatever you put out there, however you present, be prepared that not everyone is going to love it or accept it, and you're going to be judged. Whether or not you want it or not, you're going to be judged.
You know what this tells us as we're debating all of this? This is the beauty of why we're doing this. There's so much things that's subjective. And therefore, we looking at these different things. That's the whole point.
Just like
Is that these qualities and characteristics, as we evaluate them, how do they transfer over into adulthood? Because I said at the beginning of this, these things I'm reading from supposedly is for girls and for boys. I used it to transition into womanhood and manhood because as we see what's acceptable for girls or boys, it turns into something completely different once we cross an age and we're grown and how we're looked at as relationships. And that's why I wanted to kind of bring this to the, and that's why I said there's no right or wrong. So I love that we're debating this because it's opening up the dialogue to kind of talk about this. I want to get in one more for guys and one more for girls, and I'll last like 20 minutes or so. And so I want to change the subject. For guys, give credit, take the blame. Give credit, take the blame. I think that's a valuable thing to teach young men. But why would we say that's even more valuable for men and how we treat our women? Give credit and take the blame. Anybody? I'll go. I'm sorry. No, go ahead, Jay, because I didn't think anybody had. No. I always rather you guys have something to say. Come on. Give credit, take the blame.
I just think that that just highlights the fact of manhood. You know, as a man in my household, if something goes wrong, I'm going to take the blame for that, even if it's not my fault, especially in the public anyway. Because whatever that issue may be, then I think it's my responsibility to fix it. And I kind of teach my boys that you're a man, so don't shy away from that role. When you become a father, you become a husband. There's gonna be a lot that's gonna be expected of you, and when things go wrong, they're gonna look at you. Whether you had a hand in it or not. And so don't be that guy that always have an excuse. Well, so and so did this. It happened because of this. Excuses are like assholes. Everybody got it. At the end of the day, this is what happened, and this is how we're gonna fix it. So that's kind of my take. That's just I think that just plays into just being a man, it's just manhood.
I love it. I love it. Let me add this. I don't know if anybody else had anything to
Yeah,
add
I
to it.
think
Oh, please go ahead, Kennard. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kennard.
yeah, I think in leadership, you know what I'm saying? Like men are expected to be leaders, no matter what the roles that society tries to downplay. That when things are jacked up, it's on the man to fix, and it's on the man to keep things in house. So my thing is, I always think if the marriage goes wrong, if there's anything jacked up, if bills are not being paid, or whatever the case may be in a situation, it's looked upon on me. I'm totally accountable. I can't say it's my wife's fault. I can't say it's my kid's fault. I will say this: early in my marriage, I didn't necessarily think it could develop at that point to think that way. I placed blame on everybody as to why things weren't working out. Financially, personally, I take full accountability for whatever goes wrong. And like you said, even in business, you give credit and you take the blame. I think that's really the best way to own enterprise business person. I want my guys that report to me to be ultimately successful. And if our organization is jacked up, then the ownership is on me. I got to figure out a way that we're going to fix this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think to go along with Kennard and Black, I know you can speak to this and probably others too. When you're in a leadership position, you always praise in public and you discipline in private. So I use that same concept, in my household or, in the public perception, whatever may go wrong, that's not the time to place blame. If there's going to be blame attached, that's on me. What's how that's going to go? That's on me, baby. But I think it just goes to the fact that that's just growing up, like Kennard mentioned earlier. When you're young, you do that. But as you get older and you become a man, hey, you got to man up. Excuse the pun,
Shay, and that's huge to me about protecting who you're with, whether you're married or not, because I think any woman will respect that. You know what I'm saying? That, and I like that part that even if something goes wrong, talk to her about that in private. That the time and the place is not there. Put it on her right then. You did this. You did that. You know what? In a quiet place, baby. This shouldn't have happened. That shouldn't have happened. Blah 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 blah. Your respect factor that she might have for you can go through the roof. All in how you. We always say it's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's how you do it. And so you're right. Being in a leadership position, the accountability, the buck stops here. How am I going to fix it? Even if it's not your problem. We talked earlier about you marry that woman, you marry her whole family. Y'all talked about that. Hey, my sister's in trouble. This is not happening. So they're looking to you. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is take the reins. We talk about being leaders. There's not enough leaders when it comes to relationships anymore. And we wonder why so many women are having to take the lead because a lot of guys just don't want to hold the reins. The reins are too heavy. And that's one of the biggest reasons why relationships have suffered. So yeah, give credit. And that don't understate that part. We're not putting women on a pedestal enough anymore. We don't do that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Jay, you said something a minute ago about dressing, about how we dress. You say you're representing me. I like that in this sense that there used to be a situation where when a woman went out, she was your crowning glory. I know when I was married, I wanted my wife to have the best outfits because she represented me. The last thing, I can't be with her always. I don't know where she's gonna go. And she did dress sexy enough. But you know what I always took a lot of comfort in? That I wanted people to know that if she was at work and she stopped in the gas station, the grocery store, man, that's a badass woman. Who she with? I wanted her to be on that pedestal to look good enough because she's coming home to me. I want her to be on that pedestal. Again, not sleazy or anything, but my thing is, yeah, you're representing me. So I want you to shine. And not just in physical shining, I want that person to be the best they can be. So I'm going to push her. You know, what are your dreams? We didn't get to a lot of this stuff on the list. What are your dreams? What do you want to be? If you're in a relationship and you're just sitting still and not pushing that person to the next level, you're doing both of you a disservice.
Mhm.
So my thing is push them to the next level. Baby, what's next? What's next? Push them to the next level. And so that for me is a big part of it, you know. And again, taking the reins, taking the lead, that's a big part of it for to me that I think is missing in relationships because you know what I see in these new relationships? Everybody's on their own, everybody have to fend for themselves. And how in the hell can you accomplish anything when you're both pulling in opposite directions and you're not pulling together?
You can't.
I know you had that topic pulled from the men's list, but I think a lot of women, especially modern women, can learn from that. And the whole take give credit and take the blame because they don't. They wonder why they're in the situations that they are with multiple men in unsuccessful relationships with multiple children because they're not taking the blame and what they may have done to have been in that situation. How did you attribute? How did you
Very
contribute
good
to
point.
that? There's a reason, sometimes it's kind of harsh, but a woman who has multiple kids and that has had multiple failed relationships, the common denominator in that is you, ma'am. So what can you do? What are you doing? What do you need to
Sometimes
think?
that's the harsh
And
truth.
we don't
That's
do
the
that.
harsh
Yeah.
truth. That's the harsh truth. I got one last one, folks, and I again for women, and it is I had it here a second ago. Oh, did I lose my number? I thought it was number 26. Let me see. No, it's number 30 on the list. Last one for you with girls and you as women. You are amazing. Don't let anyone ever make you feel you are not. If someone does, walk away. You deserve better. Now, we know we should be instilling that in girls.
Yeah.
Why aren't we instilling that in women? Why aren't women taking that to heed? I don't think that's even debatable, is it?
No.
Yeah.
That's not
But they've
debatable.
not. That's something that's instilled in you from the time you are a little girl. So if that was never put in you as a woman, you don't believe it then.
Man. So D, let me ask you a question then. You're right. Oh my
Yeah.
God, you're so right. So when that doesn't happen, where can a woman get that from?
The only place you can find that is yourself because I just feel like in relationships things are going to happen and if your self-esteem is already damaged it's going to come further down. Your value has to come from you. Nobody else can put value on you. So I mean it's something that you just guys have to instill in their daughters. We as women have to instill it in our children. So yeah, you have to build them up so that when they do meet a man that tries to break them, it's not going to work.
Can I add one thing to that?
Yeah.
I wish women would instill that in other women.
They're not.
Yeah, that's true. That's
They're
true.
not.
You know what I'm
Because
saying?
me and my girls do. Me and my girls do.
That's why I
Yeah,
want to bring that up.
we do.
Go
We
ahead,
do.
D. Go ahead, D. Cause see, so I'm gonna put you on the spot. I put several people on the spot, so I'm gonna put you on the spot in a good way, because I know this to be true. She's married and in a stable relationship, children, all of those things. You have friends that haven't hit that level yet, but what I do know about you,
Hmm.
you're always telling them it's about you to be better, to treat yourself better, and you're
Hmm.
special and don't let nobody. So talk about that. So that's why I want to add that. If that haven't been already instilled in them, talk about your role, D, as a friend to help put that in them.
So many women are broken, whether it be from childhood, from relationships, and they've never had anybody in their life tell them you amazing. you are great, you're wonderful, any man should be happy to have you. They've never heard that. So I feel like me as a friend, I think my girls are amazing. So when they get down on themselves, I tell them like, "Girl, you are the bomb. You fine. You look good. I mean, you're smart. You're this. You're that." And these are things that they've never heard, which is amazing to me. But some women have never heard that in their life. They never had one person to tell them like, "You just the
Wow.
bomb."
Wow. I've seen this. I've been with this is recent. I've seen this recent. I've seen her do this recently, but she's always done that. And so she's right. Not, you know what? Not everybody's grown up we said at the beginning, in a household where they heard that. So guess what? There's a lot of broken women out there that never heard that you're special. You bring something to the table. And now that's manipulated by the different men that are in their life, as Tasha, you just said, the multiple failed relationships, this and that. And so nobody's told them that you're still special. And some of these women feel like it's too late for them. Because guess what? Now I do have a bunch of kids. And I don't have the education or the job I want. So guess what? There's a lot of women that just say fuck it and they give up.
Can I say one thing though?
Please, come on, Hannah.
I don't think it's always necessary because I will use myself an example. My mom raised me to always to love myself, be self-sufficient. My mom was married, so I wasn't in a single household.
Okay.
However, and both my parents, my dad, because my mom got remarried, and my stepdad and my parents raised me to be a certain way, and I never had low self-esteem. However, when I was married before, I should have been left. And it wasn't that I really didn't have self-esteem of myself. It's just that I just was always toward a certain way that you just don't divorce. So it's not always that women don't. Some women in that situation, it's not that all the time is that they don't have high self-esteem. Sometimes you get in a situation that it might change the person who you are when you realize you got to get out of there. But it's not always necessary. It's not always that they don't have high self-esteem. Sometimes you might find yourself in that situation and you don't really know how to change and go back to the person who you were. So I'm not going to put a lot of people down and say that, oh, it's their self-esteem, because Dee touched on good points. So you do have to instill that as a child. But sometimes you can instill it, and then when you get older, you're going to go in your own ways. You have parents that raise their kids to be certain ways, then they grow up and not, people were like, oh, that can't be my child, but it can be your child. Also, I don't think having low self-esteem has anything to do with having multiple kids, because people do get divorced, people do get separated, people don't just have multiple relationships and kids because they decided to do something wrong or they didn't evaluate themselves. It's a such thing as being divorced, widows. So it's not always that is their esteem or why they're in that situation. It can just be what life handed them at that moment. So I feel like when we say certain things, we're ourselves are putting women or men down, because it's men out here who are widows and are single dads. It's not just women out here in these situations.
Good point.
But
Good
women
point.
are blamed when they're in situations, and men, if you see a single dad, men are uplifted and praised for that. A single mom, we're talked about or anything. So I really think it depends on the situation that you're handed with life.
I agree, but I don't think that's the point she was making. That
No, that wasn't.
that we're saying that that's the reason. I think, if you correct me if I'm wrong, Tasha, I think the point you were making was that if you do look up and you got multiple failed relationships, a bunch of kids, sometimes you have to ask yourself, what's the common denominator and the reason why I'm here? And it might be looking in the mirror. But I don't think she was saying that for all encompassing reason that's the reason. Tasha, go ahead.
No, I was referring to the women who they don't get married. They're not married. They're just jumping from man to man with them for a year, and not even 2 months later into the relationship, they're pregnant and the man is gone. Those are the women I'm talking about, that every man they end up with, they have a baby with, and there's no even real connection there. That's who I'm talking about.
But Hannah, you make some good points too. So we're not saying that's the only reason. That's the only reason why women find themselves in it's not always low self-esteem. You're right. You can come from the perfect household. You said you a PK. I prayed on PKs. Those was my specialties.
Wow.
That's what I prayed on. I can quote scripture and verse. So my thing was that was my specialty in turning a saint into a sinner because I knew what you was coming from. So my thing was that was a special treat I rubbed my hands together on. That how can I corrupt this person because they've always done so much good. You know what I'm saying? And so you can come from the perfect household and still fall prey to those hungry lions out there. The Bible says that a lion is walking around seeking to devour someone. I've always told people in my former life, I was that lion. I look for that easy prey. You know what I'm saying? So that was the thing. And I took a lot of pride in that. And so it wasn't just broken women. The best women the best experiences was somebody who thought they had everything. And that Sundays was my most sinning day. Oh my God, if you was giving me head on a Sunday, it didn't get no better than that. You supposed to be serving God. You giving a little bit to God, you giving the rest to me. So that was my specialty right there. So my thing was, you're right. There's other reasons. But at the end of the day, my thing is, like I said, in terms of that principle, somebody has to come along and let that woman know that she's amazing, she's special, but that doesn't happen anymore. And that's the thing. That's the thing that we're talking about. So personally, I don't care how it happens. I don't care if the drunk on the street said, baby, you look amazing. Somebody need to put that in you to tell you that you are amazing. And we know this list was for the little girls, and that's why I say it's a no-brainer that if you have a daughter, you're telling her that. Shame on you if you're a parent and you're not telling your daughter you're amazing, you should have the best, this and that. But we forget that sometimes that same message needs to be said to grown-ass women.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, there's a little child in all of us. So I'm going to end it there, with that last statement right there. That list for boys and for girls, I like that point. At the end of the day, there's a little girl and a little boy in all of us. And if we can just get back to the basics, maybe we can be better. Anybody got anything last to add?
No.
All right, folks, I loved it. Once again, I got my drink on. I'm feeling nice and mellow. And so I'm going to say thank you to everybody that participated. Fantastic show. I look forward to seeing you all on Saturday. Eric, new guest, appreciate you, my brother.
Yes,
Looking
sir.
forward to working with you. So love you all. Great edition of Real Talk for Real Men. Don't forget to share this video, hit like, and please ask others to subscribe. God bless and peace.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thanks.